But when you ask a buying question, the person on the other side of that table is giving you an answer soundly founded in their emotional decision-making process.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate Minnick, hanging out with you along with my buddy Brian Burton, general manager of Benjamin Franklin Plumbing in Phoenix, the most trusted plumber in the Phoenix area. Looking forward to hanging out with you today, talking about a great show and really getting back to the question that you know you should be asking, why you are still not asking for the sale. That's right. We've done episodes about this. And now we're going to do another episode about this because we are convinced that it's still not going on. We're going to start it off with a great quote from Brian before we get into the meat of the content, and then we're going to have a little introduction for you. Let's kick it off here, Brian. Who are we recording today?
To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money. Donald Adam. Brought to us by Kristen Lewis of the Mr. Sparky in West Virginia.
Oh, hey, I know her.
Yeah, she jumped in the blue collar closer school community and threw a quote that just made sense to her one day. And I said, no, this was like a month ago or something. And I said, that is going to find its way to a Waste No Day podcast episode.
Yeah. What's up to the Lewises? Appreciate that. What's up, West Virginia?
To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money.
All right. So what are we talking about here? We're not talking about plumbing services in terms of turning the wrench, or are we?
Yeah. What is it? Connection? Relationship?
Certainly part of it, right? Can't buy a relationship.
Empathy or measure. Empathy. I feel like connection. I certainly feel like when I created a real connection with my clients, when I was running service calls all those years, when I got to the point where, to touch on our point for this episode, I asked for the business. Yes or no question. I'd get to the point when I was about to ask that question. If I had built a real connection, I knew, no question in my mind, the only way they were going to say no is if they failed financing. No question about it. And connection is something that can't, it says be bought or measured with money. I like be bought with money or measured because you can't buy connection and there's no real way to measure it. But boy, do you know when you have it and you're walking to the table or whatever. And the connection comes with so many other things too. Like it comes with me having a very real sense of who you are as a family or a homeowner and understanding how you use your system and understanding what things would make you enjoy that system more. So it works both ways. So I can so much better present to you the things that will actually have a real impact on you if there's a real connection there and I understand you as a person.
Yeah, and I think there's an element of like integrity along with it too. I mean, you can't really buy or measure integrity. Like, or trust is another word. When people purchase a service or they purchase somebody to come out and do something for them, yes, obviously there's the component of actually stripping the wire, turning the wrench, putting the gauges on, all those things matter, yes. But what they really want is they want an honest person doing honest work for them. They don't want to be taken advantage of. And you can experience the highs and lows of that at every level of the economy of scale in the home services, right? You can have a disingenuous, dishonest person who charges very much, and you can have a very honest, very integrous person who charges very little, and of course, vice versa. And so I think that's another example of something that can't really be bought or measured. by money. We'd love to hear what other feedback you have around this same concept here. And you're just kind of thinking through things. What levels of service are we providing? I think there's also an element that comes with like the warmth. And that's going back to the relationship side. Every human needs relationship. They need connection. And not to say that you need to be a counselor or anything like that, although probably in many cases, that's part of the job description that gets put in, somewhere deep in the paragraphs of what you're supposed to be doing. But those are things that matter to people.
You remember what David Sandler said selling is?
Please remind me.
A Broadway show put on by a psychologist.
A psychologist. Yeah. Either one. Absolutely. And it's kind of funny. We actually have one of our comfort advisors is an actual actor. Like that was his job before coming to be with us. And man, can he just immediately connect with people. He's so good at it.
I used to say this a lot. I don't say it anymore, but there was it's probably still an app called Meetup, MEETUP. And I got it to find people that were practicing improv. Like I didn't want to go take paid classes, but I wanted to get better at thinking and acting on my feet. And I did a couple of it was like right when 2020 hit, maybe. I think I did 1 or 2 in person and then a few on Zoom. And it's the most humiliating thing in the world. It's like, it's pretty crazy. If you watch The Office, you've seen Michael Scott partake in some of them. He always ends up like pulling out a piece and blowing everybody away, Michael Scarn. But it's like, you decide as my role play partner, my improv role play partner, what this is going to be about. And maybe you just say like, yep, yeah, here I am walking down the street with my leather jacket on and my blue jeans and my cigar in hand. And you just turn and look at me and I just have to act on what you said. Like we're in a scene. Right. Yeah. And you have to run with it. And a big rule of that is yes. And right. You never say, no, I disagree, because it stops the flow. And that was one cool thing to learn to do with the client. And we've maybe not done an episode on that, but certainly talked about that many times, where don't just stop them short and disagree with them and tell them they're wrong. Figure out a way to yes and them. Keep the conversation flowing. But the other part is you got to, boom, just think on your feet and keep the conversation rolling smoothly. And you want to kind of be entertaining, because if everybody laughs, there's no point scale or anything, at least in what I did. But that's kind of the goal for me, at least, when you're role playing with your team, like when Brent Buckley and my brother and all those guys back in the day would role play at Yes in Las Vegas, early 2000s. We weren't trying to just get through our turn. We were trying to be the best person that role played that day.
Yeah.
Every day, every objection. I was trying to beat these clowns around me. And it's no different in there. I'm just trying to be the most entertaining when I do mine and the most clever. And that's what you want to do. Is it Tony Nevis in the Blue Collar Closer group today? He was, he made a post in there. I won't share too much because, it's not for just anybody to hear. It's bluecollarcloser.com members. But he shared a post about some options on a water heater. And I said what I often say to technicians was like, he asked for advice on how he could have made it better. And they were pretty long written options. And for him, he's like, I really shortened them up. Which I'm like, okay, we got some engineer in us.
My man, my people. Yeah.
I said, if anything, I would name each package. I would use analogies, not tech talk, and I would make it even shorter. Neris, Tony Neris. And he said, could you give me an example of an analogy you would use in this situation? And I said, depending on the client, of course. So it was like completely rebuild the old water heater or replace it with a new one. And I said, depend on the client. You don't want to offend somebody who's easily offended. And that's some people, but it's not everybody. If it's like a single lady or a married lady who has a sense of humor, I'd say something like, option 1 would be like putting your boyfriend or husband through an extreme makeover scenario where they're going to get a new wardrobe, do his hair, make him wash up, start hitting the gym to where you'll barely recognize him. Option 2, you just kick him to the curb and you get a younger model that can do things he never could. Right. And if it's someone who's a little on the more sensitive side, then you say option 1 is like taking your older car and giving it an overhaul with new tires, brakes, detail the interior, maybe a fresh coat of paint. Option 2 would be trading it in for a newer luxury model that makes you much more comfortable, safer, and impresses your friends a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. Yep.
Analogies. But also, I got this text and I responded literally the second I got it. And you know what I'm talking about. I am trying to brag, but I'm not just trying to brag. You know how fast I come up with these, right? Mm-hmm. You've seen me do it for years.
The analogy king.
Where did that come from? I was born great with analogies.
Molded by it.
Not at all. So he said, darn, you're good. I get it. Makes a lot of sense. I try, but I need to get better at it like that. I feel that sometimes when I make it sound simple, it doesn't have the emotions or feelings. And all I said was, it's just practice. No biggie. That was it. Why did I say that? Because it's just practice. That's it.
I mean, in so many ways, that is the answer to many of life's challenges.
Yeah. Whenever we see somebody who's smooth at these things, you're like, oh, I wish I was born that good at analogies. It's like, nope. Man, I was befuddled the first times I tried to sell. It was a train wreck. And I decided that analogies was something I was going to get good at. I decided I was going to turn things into, it was really reading the New Testament that really got me wanting to do that more, which is the Pharisees would bring something crazy to Jesus. He would flip it into a story and then just leave them upside down, right? But I saw how effective it is at getting a point across, selling or no selling. Like when I'm talking to my kids and I want them to understand something, I flip mode to, if I'm talking to Ethan, I flip mode to something a 17-year-old can relate to. If I'm talking to Clara, I flip to something a 7-year-old can relate to. So yeah, it's a way of communicating. And ever since I adopted that way of communicating, I'm now known as a great communicator, which is hilarious to me because that's never been me, right? My whole first half of my life, that was not me. Second half so far has been great. I'm able to get my point across clearly. I'm able to articulate my thoughts, and I'm able to get what I want out of most situations.
Yeah. And I mean, for the folks listening, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but Brian is actually pretty good at doing analogies. In fact, I would say he is probably the best person I've ever come across to be able to spontaneously combust an analogy onto the scene in so many ways. Not to mention, if you give him an actual preparation time, he comes up with some pretty sick analogies as well that are really good. And if that's not your strong suit, it doesn't have to be, at least now. You can fabricate your way through things by coming up with the same analogies for the same scenarios over and over again. I mean, listen, if you're in the home services, a lot of times you are dealing with some level of good, better, and best. And so you can probably come up with some more generic analogies that can carry you through quite a bit of those scenarios without necessarily getting into the specifics, right? Even the whole concept of the detailing your old car or replacing a new car type of thing, that can be very universal in its application. And yet what analogies do is they tie a complicated scenario into a simplistic message, which often has emotions involved with it. And so who doesn't want a new car? Who doesn't want to detail and get, that fresh car scent in their old car? Those are all really positive emotions that are coming out by having that type of analogy. And as you practice and you get a little bit more specific with things, more of them will come to you by nature and you will get better at it and explaining those concepts to your homeowner in such a way that you tie in those emotions to the purchasing process, which in many ways is a good segue into what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Which is the blue collar closer, school community. No, not that.
Not today. But if you are interested.
Yep. We got a long, I don't know, man. It's this thing's pretty reasonable. It's less than $50 a week for a limited time. That will go away. We're about halfway to where that's going to increase. But the first 300 members, the founding 300, the Leonidas crew,
yes,
is in at less than $50 a week. And little things like this will make you that back so easily. But then there's an entire sales process in there. Good for all home service trades, period. There's nobody who's not using that system. I don't know. It's been easily over a dozen trades at the boot camps and in the app. And just that part alone would be well worth the investment. But then you have all the other things like the live Q&As on Thursdays and watching everybody post their role play videos and access to 100 hours of Wiser Wednesday videos with the baddest trainers and industry geniuses in the world and all the other things that go with it. It's less than $50 a week. Get up in there, shoot us an email at service@wastenoday.net. That's service@wastenoday.net. Or it should be in the show notes. Just click on it and hop in there and take a look.
Yeah, man. Great stuff in there, and going to be great stuff on today's show, which we're looking forward to getting to the content. But before we do that, it's time for us to highlight one of you who's taking the time to highlight one of us or one of our episodes or the show in general. Brian, who are you putting on the stage today?
Top sales pros only. 5 stars. Corrected to 5 stars. I don't know if you guys will remember, but back in November of 2024, somebody said that Nate said something like, "Hey, if you make fun of Brian, we'll get your review read immediately." Because like we're reading, like right now, we're recording this. It's July of 2025. We're reading reviews from November of 24. So we're pretty behind. And this guy did it like, however many days after that podcast aired, but he put 4 stars. So all I said was his name, and then he put 4 stars. And I was like, your review will never get read. Never. Now, I have actually done that before where I wrote a 5-star review for someone and then wrote a little review. And then I saw it later and I'm like, 4 stars? Like I didn't put 4. I must have just accidentally hit the 4-star button. So I wasn't mad at him, but this is the corrected version of thank you very much. I've been in the sales industry for a long time and have sold many different products and solutions. I've found that nothing outside of the trades can give me the opportunity to provide at the level I currently do. Brian and Nate have been key in mentoring me from a podcast in how I can improve my mindset and skills every single day. Find someone who has gone where you want to go, who has achieved what you want to achieve, and copy that success. These are those guys. And with an endless supply of amazing guests, you're guaranteed to learn all you need to be successful. It's good to have them in your passenger seat, but I'd suggest to be in a place where you can write down and retain what you are being given. Highest quality training. P.S. Was that good enough to get this review read on the next episode? That was great. AUZYAV. Aussie Av.
Oh,
Aussie Av.
Is it okay? Australian listener, perhaps.
Not Aussie, but maybe. I don't know how they say it out there. I don't know what you guys are doing down there. Uzi.
Oh, well, yeah. Either way, maybe work on the username or something like that. You're kind of committed to it now. But thanks for the review, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate the review. I get it. You got stuck with that. You're just screwing around one day, and that's now your handle for life. Check it out. You don't have to do all that. Hit the 5-star button. Just say thanks. But man, when we get a long review like that, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to Nate. It's fun to read. Hopefully, as far as you're concerned, there in the driver's seat, it's fun to listen to, but it warms our heart. And there's not much you can do for us. But if you want to do something, you can yawn in the middle of an episode like Nate just did.
Yeah.
Or, which I'm sure you're doing anyway. There's no question about that. Trying to stay awake behind that wheel, especially with no guest on it. Dude, after we had Doug Wyatt, Laura Kelly, like, eek. We got some big shoes to fill.
A little bit of a cliff here. Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to let you get a nap this week. That's for sure. But if you want to do something for the show, this is what you can do. Get on Apple, write us a review. Get on Spotify. It's just a click. Click that 5-star button. If you will listen to 2 episodes on the Audible app, you can then write a review on Audible.
That's pretty cool.
That's it. Share, jump on social media, share an episode, tag us. What's up?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And we're very excited to talk about the concept of selling today, specifically around the idea of asking buying questions. So we're going to pivot to our main content right now. No guests today. It's just Brian and I hanging out, trying to squeeze both of our butts into your passenger seat here. And we're bringing back the idea of buying questions because it is something that can easily slip out of your presentation if it is there ever to begin with. And so we've done episodes around this idea, and we're going to, dive in a little bit deeper around this idea and talk about more of the concepts of how to make sure that you are making this a regular part of your presentation. Now, we talked about the front end of the show here in the introduction, how buying is an emotional decision, right? That's something that I personally had to overcome in my own life. When I first got into the home services, I would have said that buying is a logical decision. Well, no surprise there from somebody who has more of an engineering personality to begin with, right? My purchasing pattern is typically to do lots of research, reviews and cross comparisons on all these types of things.
I don't believe you care about reviews, buddy. I don't think you trust the people writing them to be as smart as you. You're like this riffraff.
Well, it could be, reviews from like magazines or those types of things, but some type of qualified content. Regardless,
that makes more sense.
To review several different things, several different products or whatever it may be, and come to a place where I say, okay, this logically makes sense. And so my original take on purchasing would have been, no, that it's a logical decision. Like you make the best choice based upon whatever the circumstances are. But I was failing to recognize, even in my own logical progression, that while the research may have been logic oriented and the conclusion may have been around some type of pros versus cons list, the actual purchase was always to satisfy some level of emotion, whether that emotion was, joyful in nature and like which vacation are we going to go on this year, or it was protective in nature and saying which product or service is going to prevent pain. It was always tied to an emotion. And that's something that I really think all of our listeners should be focusing on, that when you ask, well, first of all, make sure that you are asking. But when you ask a buying question, the person on the other side of that table is giving you an answer soundly founded in their emotional decision-making process in the moment. There may be logic, there may be pros and cons, there may be your Benjamin Franklin, rights and wrongs list and all that type of stuff that comes along with it. But at the end of the day, they're saying yes or they're saying no because of emotion. And that's an important concept to open us up here as we talk about asking buying questions and even when and how to do that. So, Brian, where do you want to start off today?
I want to start off with, there are a few things. I went off a little bit on this on Wiser Wednesday last week. Well, I don't know what last week is when you're listening to this, but the week of July 4th. Who was our guest?
Phillips, right?
Phillips?
It was, John Phillips.
John Phillips, that's right. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking David J.P. Phillips when you said it. Yeah, Jonathan Phillips of
he actually bears
A1.
Somewhat of a resemblance to him, I think.
Actually, kind of does, yeah. And both great dudes. I've got to hang out with both of those guys and thoroughly enjoyed my time with them. Yeah, and I started off with like an Arnold Schwarzenegger analogy, but what I was saying was I got a little heated and a little bit passionate. I was talking about the fact that I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger say, in this day and age, the biggest mistake he sees people make at the gym is they walk in with no process, no plan, can't really tell you why they're there and what they're doing. And they just kind of screw around and go through the motions for an hour, spend a lot of time on the phone and leave. And they don't make any real progress. They don't get stronger. They don't get in better physical condition. Now, to me, he didn't say, but I'll still say, I see a lot of these people at 4:30 in the morning. but they're still at the gym at 4:30 in the morning. So stuff it, Arnie. All right. I'm like, I say, just sleep a little faster. Yeah, he has one of my favorite quotes ever where he says, you only need 6 hours a night, 6 hours. And you might say, well, I have to sleep 8 hours. And to that, I just say, then sleep a little faster. It's one of my favorite quotes. I was like, okay, I'll start sleeping faster then. And literally after I heard that quote, I shaved an hour of sleep off my day. Probably went from like 8 to 7 at that point and never looked back. And I just keep shaving. But what he was saying was they come in with no process, no plan, and just kind of go through the motions. And boy, did it take me about a split second to relate that to technicians. And I started saying that about technicians being on service calls. No process, no plan, and go through the motions. Haphazardly dealing with this client as if you know that they won't be the biggest client you've ever had, as opposed to knowing that they are going to be the biggest client you've ever had. If you already had that foreknowledge, how differently would you treat that person? Now imagine that energy with every client you deal with. Not today, not tomorrow, but for the last 3 years. Imagine what your life looks like right now if you had done that for 3 years. Now go do it for the next 3, because what do you have to lose? You have to be there anyway. You're there anyway. Here's the problem. Now, the reason I got a little passionate, as I said, was I'm talking to, I think there was like 65 people or something on that Wiser Wednesday last week, 65 teams and individuals zoomed in, and I'm looking at all the faces, but what face is in the top left corner of a Zoom call?
Yourself.
That would be me. And I'm looking at me and I see, this beaten down, disgruntled old 45-year-old man for sure. But 45. Somewhere in the eyes, I see the 25-year-old version of me. And while I'm even saying this, I can literally picture from 21 years ago, calls that I went in, and I'd been plumbing for a while already, but this is when I joined a company that had like a sales culture. And I could see myself going through the motions with certain clients just for me not really feeling it at that moment. And I can picture it. I can picture it as clearly as I'm watching on video right now. And I get a little heated because I'm like, one, that client paid the same to get you there as every other client and chose you over all the other companies in the area, just like all your other clients. So why this client gets this crappy, worn out, pathetic version of you, and another client gets the 100% version of you? What did they do? And I get a little more heated as I look around the rooms and I think, maybe if I get heated enough, I can save some client from experiencing that today. Or I can save someone on this call the guilt, the shame of looking back on your older self and realizing that you ripped people off in that manner. You gypped people. You had more to give and you kept it for yourself. For what? You stole that time from your family, right? Because if you're out there, if you're not with them, you better be squeezing every drop out of that day, financially speaking, rewarding speaking, making an impact in the community, making an impact in your team, right? Just squeezing every drop if you're taking that time away from your family. But to come back full of energy and haven't really worked that hard, it's like, ugh. Or here's the other side of that coin, to have gone so hard the night before that you don't really have it to give anywhere. So what do we need to be doing? We need to be getting full night's sleep. We need to be not pounding sugar, alcohol, weed, caffeine later in the day, evening, on work nights. It's a non-negotiable to be successful. It just is. Every time we have the highest level producers on here, they don't drink, They eat right and they work out. Every single one of them. It is a pattern, but not you. You're going to go the other way and figure it out. So what are some things that have to be done? In my mind, put the drinking aside. Friday, Saturday, if you have to. Caffeine, just scale it back. It affects your personality. Work out in the morning. And if you're out of shape and getting on the bench press and running on the incline treadmill isn't your thing, go for a walk. Go for a walk in the morning. Get outside. This is Aaron in the summer. So just about everywhere you can make that happen. Even here in Phoenix. I took my walk today at like 9:30 a.m. And I had already worked out at 4:30, mind you, but I still take a long walk and do some Zoom and phone calls. Try to do it every day. And it was 102 at 9:45 in the morning. I was cooking, but it just has to be done.
You hear that, people? Brian believes so much in walking that he risks his life to do it. I mean, walking in Phoenix, that's what they do to prisoners on death row. They just make them walk in Phoenix.
It's faster that way. They can save the money on the lethal injection. Yeah, it was brutal. It was pretty hot. But whatever it is, wherever you're at, there's no reason not to get the walk in, at least just a walk, 15, 20 minutes. Whatever it is, we got to get the blood flowing. We got to get the pump, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would call it, get the muscles tightening up and the blood swelling up in the muscles. I'm more of a fan of lifting weights, but whatever floats your boat, just get some physical activity in the morning. But here's the deal. If you're staying up all night playing video games, drinking, smoking, whatever, you're not going to do that. You can't. And here's the thing that I left my intro on for Wiser Wednesday. If you tell me you have big goals and big plans and you can't nail all of those things I just talked about, I will tell you have big talk. You don't have big goals. Because those two things, all that we just talked about and big goals, can't coexist. They can't be in the same room together. You have to have those very low levels of discipline to be a top performer. You have to. You can't be consistent and do all the things we just talked about. And then what's one more thing? You have to ask for the sale. You have got to ask the client to purchase, to pick one, to let you go ahead and get started, to just give me your endorsement here and I'll get moving, whatever it sounds like. And we did a whole episode on this where we used the questions of some of the biggest trainers that have been on the show and my own version of it. There's plenty of ways out there. Get on bluecollarcloser.com, jump in the school community. There's a classroom tab where my entire process is laid out in 5-minute videos, short, digestible, very well produced videos, if I say so myself. That just walks you right through this thing, man. And you go in there, the first thing you see is the community. It's like almost like a Facebook group, but no negativity. And you scroll down and you just see people saying that they made their biggest sale today because of this part of the process. Boom, 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 over and over and over again. And Weldon Long said it on this show, and I subscribe to it. It's not the process. It's just a process. It's not the fact that it's the perfect process. It's just, if you don't have one, it is one. And it just matters that you follow the process, a process, and you will be successful. You will be. This, like most processes that are out there by trainers in the home services, was developed by a guy running plumbing calls. It was then redeveloped and redeveloped and redeveloped when I was vice president of sales for a HVAC, plumbing, electrical company, making multi-million-dollar technicians out of all three with this process. So this is not I'm a sales trainer who used to sell life insurance, and now I'm coming into the home services to show you guys how it's done. I'm not trying to train life insurance reps, right? And I'm trying to get people into Blue Collar Closer and come and join our team and like roll with us, and I am. But I'm not asking life insurance people and car salesmen and stuff like that no, it's home services. That's what we do. We're the home services guys. Is it going to stagger our growth compared to some of the other sales trainers out there. Yep. But I'm okay with that. I like the lives that we change to be the young men and woman, I think there's two, in the home services, right? That's what I like.
You know what strikes me about everything you're talking about there, Brian, is there is a universal element to everything, whether it's weightlifting or dieting or exercise or following the process. There is a universal element, and that is the element of discipline, right? It's the element of being willing and determined and just seeing it through a process, a system, an element of you that needs to become habitual, right? It sucks waking up that early in the morning to go to the gym. I mean, yes, but you're on the other side of it, Brian.
Like no. Here's what. It's still
right?
It's still no different, right? But here's what I know now. What did Jocko say when you asked him, dude? Jocko, when he was on the show, what episode was that? I forget. When Jocko was on the show, you said, dude, Jocko, there's got to be days where you're just like, man, I just don't feel like it today. And what did he say? Do I have days I don't feel like it? Yeah, of course. Does it matter? No. I do it. And here's what I've learned about it's no less miserable today than it was 12 years ago, 13 years ago when I started, right? When I was 31, I had lifted weights like 3 or 4 times in my life. In 32 in rehab, I figured if I'm going to get sober, I'm going to get right spiritually, I'm going to get my family right, I'm going to get my body right, I'm going to start taking care of myself. And I started hanging with the guys. A couple of them were fresh out of prison. And they were just savages, man. They were jacked. I mean, they worked out like animals. And that's who I learned to work out from. But one of them said something poignant to me, which was like, I kept missing days at the gym where you just get up super early when you can first wake up and get to the gym before the first chapel service at this rehab. And he was just like, look, bro, getting up early sucks, but it only sucks until your feet hit the ground. And that's so true. The second your feet hit the ground, you forget all about going back to bed. It's just getting out of bed. So now I usually beat the 3:45 alarm. Amelia will never hear this episode, I understand, but you can text her. You're in a group with us. And I'd say 3 days a week, I beat the alarm. I wake up, I grab my phone, I turn the alarm off before it goes off, and I hop off the bed. I mean, I get out of that bed so fast because when I lay down at night and pull that glorious CPAP nose pillows over my face, I love it.
Here's another commercial. Yep.
Dude, as soon as the air's like, my eyes are like, yes. And they just start falling shut. I'm like, oh, this is great. Because I like deviated septum. I don't know if you can hear it on the show. I'm sure you can. But I struggle to breathe through my nose all the time. Andy Elliott puts a freaking nose tape thing on me at the airport in Mexico. He just walks. He's like, bro, you struggle to breathe through your nose, right? I'm like, yeah, it's been broken a few times. And he's like, come here. Yeah. You just walk over and starts jamming it on my face. Like, bro. He's like, you got to try this. And I did feel like it kind of helped a little bit, but it was still like I could hear myself breathe through my nose. It's a bit of a struggle. As soon as I put that CPAP thing on, just blows everything open. I'm like,
I can't believe you just did another CPAP commercial. Make it like, can we get a sponsor, please?
Dude, I sleep 2 hours less a night since I got that, maybe 3. And wake up 10 times more refreshed than I did my whole life before it. If you don't have one and you snore, get one.
There's got to be somebody who sells them listening to like this.
Yeah, can we
like in-home services? I don't know. Somebody, please.
Can we get an affiliate link with a freaking CPAP company already? Right. CPAP guys, I'll do it for free. I'm already doing it. Like, come on, just give our people a discount. So when I get that on and I lay back in the bed is my best friend. It's my comrade. Like, I love my bed. Our bed's super comfortable. It's way high up there, When I wake up and it's around that 3:45 mark, that bed is my enemy. That bed is my enemy. I need to get away from it as fast as I possibly can because to this day, 13 years later, whatever it's been, if I lay back down, I will not go to the gym. I'm still capable of doing it every single morning. And it only sucks until my feet hit the ground. And then the wheels are turning. It's go time.
Yeah, it's go time. So that's a discipline that perhaps you need to start in your life. And all of these things relevant to disciplines are built over time. And they're built upon the foundation of one step after another. Meaning that if going to the gym in the morning is too much for you, fine, start waking up earlier. And then after you get that under control, then start doing some exercise. You don't have to go to the gym. Maybe do a 10-minute walk around the block and keep building from there. And what happens over time is you develop that pattern building where you are building one pattern upon another and you're creating habits and new habits and new habits to the point where they're no longer habits anymore. They're just part of your DNA. Well, we want asking and buying questions to become part of your DNA, where it's not something that you even have to think about, unless it is which one to ask and how to ask it and at what time. Those are strategic in nature, but asking and buying question needs to become inherent to your process.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian, why do you think that people are prone to either falling out of habit with a buying question, or they think that they're asking one and they actually aren't?
So the NASP published an article, National Association of Sales Professionals, titled, "It's Okay to Ask for the Sale. Really, It's Okay," by Bob Janet. In the very first line, 85% of the interactions between salespeople and prospects end without the salesperson ever asking for the sale. 85%. And they actually quoted Retail News by none other than, maybe you'll know the name, Richard Fenton.
Heard of it before?
Yes, you have, because he has been on the show twice, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
The author of Go for No. Yep.
There you go.
Richard and his wife, Andrea Waltz, they wrote Go for No and Go for No 2, When They Say No. Great people, awesome freaking books. Go for No was just a game changer of a book. Super short. Don't even get the audio book, which is only like an hour and 10 minutes. Go get the paper book and then read it and feel like a champion because you read a book in like an hour and a half. I'm telling you, there's just such a win there, especially for me who does not read.
Which the original episode, for what it's worth, was February 14th, 2022.
That episode is longer than the audiobook.
An hour 15.
Yep, it's longer than the audiobook. I remember saying that specifically. So 85% of sales interactions end without a salesperson ever asking the person to buy. So Bob went on, was it Bob? Yeah, Bob Janet went on and said, "I asked a number of unsuccessful and only marginally successful salespeople, why don't you aggressively ask for the sale? Top 3 reasons. 1, I don't sell by pushing the customer." Let me do that. "I don't sell by pushing the customer. I'm not pushy." Number 2, in this market, you cannot be over aggressive in this market. I love that guy. Nobody's successful in this market, huh? Number 3, the people here are different. Yeah, you don't know. In my area, people aren't like that. That's a tough one for me because I've now done plumbing in Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. Right. And you know what I found out?
People are people.
People are people. Yeah, it's just us everywhere. So he goes on to say, and then after talking with them for a while, I get to the truth. And the truth is, quote, "I do not like being rejected," end quote. That was all the people he talked to. That ended up being the issue. And guess what? You who's listening to this, nodding your head in agreement with the first 3 reasons, should be nodding with the 4th, because we don't like rejection either. But Dennis Waitley said it best. He said, "Winners do what is goal achieving. Losers do what is tension relieving." And the difference between the askers and the non-askers is the askers are walking into tension to achieve their goals. And guess what happens on a sales presentation when you have someone sit up straight, look you in the eye, lean forward, and confidently ask you to take it? Not like an a-hole, but just leans in and seriously says, guys, this seems like a fit. If you want, I can start up the paperwork right now. We can have you out of here in an hour and a half. Seriously, whether you say yes or no, seriously ask yourself this question. Do I respect that person more or less for doing that? That person just became a leader in your mind. But we, and I want to say you, but me, the 20-something-year-old version of me who is petrified of asking someone to buy, especially if they were wealthy, because I just considered them such better specimens of human being than me for some reason. Well, I'd never been around them before, so I actually thought they were like aliens. But I really struggled with wealthy people in the beginning. We, when I say we, I mean you listening and a younger version of me, are deathly afraid that if we ask, we're somehow going to seem different than that professional who sits up straight and asks like a grown-up. We feel like we're going to be looked at completely differently than that. And it's just not the case. When somebody is confident and competent and moves the sale forward, we on the other side of the table appreciate it. We appreciate that. It does not mean you're going to get a yes. But the no is not coming with a punch to the face or a chair thrown at you. It's coming as you've heard it before when people politely to ask you to leave, like they're done. It's just, this is too big of a thing for now. We'd have to sleep. Guess what? This is what they're going to say when you straight up ask them to buy anyway. The exact same objections, the exact same way. But man, do they respect you more when you just face them down and say whatever your version of the closing statement is.
Well, it's more than just about the respect, right? Because there is the possibility of a difference of outcome. And that's the whole point. I mean, yes, respect is good, but the purpose of asking the buying question is to, in fact, increase sales.
Yes. And it not only though, it's like, I used to talk about this survey that I read back in the day where it was like, this was more Pareto principle where 80% of salespeople never ask people to buy. And they interviewed or wrote or I don't know, called the clients that didn't buy during this survey and asked them why they didn't buy. And most of them said they didn't understand the process of buying. This was 100 different selling industries. They didn't understand the process of taking ownership. And they asked them, if it was clearly explained to you and they asked you to buy it, would you have bought it? 50% said yes. Half of the people who didn't buy said they would have bought it. So what my question, the way I phrase it, and we can role play it, does is it clearly communicates what it looks like to take ownership of the product and service and then asks them to move forward. So I say, we got you to funnel it down to one option. I have a whole script for that as well. But we're looking at the middle option, let's say, and Nate said he likes this one the most. And I say, you know, that's a really good option. More and more of the people I serve are going with that option. You know, I'll look at my watch or phone or their clock or whatever. So let's say it's something we have in the truck. You know, I got everything I need in the truck. I can get started now. I bet you I have this thing done before your husband gets home from work. Raise the eyebrows, crack a slight smile, start nodding yes, and go, does that sound good? Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound good? Does that sound good? And then there's the other one, right? There's the one where it's all at the shop, or there's a couple at Ferguson or whatever. And I would say, you know, I got a lot of this stuff on the truck. What I don't have, I can go grab or have a part runner bring it to me. I can have all this stuff done, your system put back together, and this area nice and cleaned up, be out of your hair before dinner time. Does that sound good? Same thing. Eyebrows up a little bit, smile, crack, nodding yes. Man, I have an opening Tuesday morning. I can have the installers here by 8 o'clock. They'll be buttoned up and out of your hair before you go get the kids from school. Does that sound good? It doesn't matter what the situation or the setup is. the buying question is the same. And the reason that it's built like that, and I don't know how long it took me to make that the exact way it is, years, believe it or not, is that every turn I would find friction in the ask in little parts of it. And I would say, I have to shave that friction off. Like one of the things I said, can I go ahead and get started? I eliminated that. I ended up asking people if it sounds good. Why? Doesn't it sound good that I can get started now and be done before the kids get home from school? Does that sound good? Sounds great, right?
Yeah.
It's an easy transition. So they're agreeing that it sounds good, but in the agreement that it sounds good, it is very well understood that I mean, can I get started? And as I'm nodding yes, and they're looking at me as I'm cracking not a cheesy smile, not a fake Duquesne smile where the eyes are crinkling, a very slight crack of a smile to say, I'm here for you. A comforting smile. Because if they say no, and here's the reason why, I'm still here, right? I'm not packing up and running out the door. I'm going to help them through it. If we got to this point, we have decided on many things. One thing I know for sure is they'd be better off with this product than the money they will spend for it. Of that, I'm positive if I'm presenting it to them.
So, Brian, I want to kind of tie this up neatly for our listeners here as we wrap up the episode today. And I'm going to take it in a different direction here based upon Amazon. So, in 1999, Amazon was granted a one-click patent. Do you know what that means? Any idea?
Like buying in one click?
Correct. In 1999, they were granted a one-click patent for storing a customer's billing, shipping, and payment details to enable one-step purchases. It actually expired in 2017. The patent gave Amazon a formidable market position, right? I mean, I don't remember 1999, but I remember when Amazon moved from add to your cart and like purchase to buy now. Like you're looking at an item and it moved to buy now. And in terms of the digital world, I liken that to basically the buying question. Now, why did that matter? Well, Amazon never officially disclosed how much money they made from that patent, but they did disclose that shopping cart abandonment rate was around 70%, meaning that people would add stuff into their cart and just walk away. And think of the change in terms of purchasing behavior when all they had to do was push one button. That's the digital version of a buying question and the impact that it had on making the purchase, the process, the ownership of this new product or service so seamless in nature that I had to do the very least amount of things possible to just hit buy now. That's the power of what a buying question can do in terms of your process in the home. And if you're not having a buying question in your process, you're having a whole lot of people add stuff to their shopping cart and just leave it abandoned. And you're better than that. And you want and need more people to be buying from you. And they want and need more services that you are providing. And you need to get that buy it now button added to your process. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show. It's been a good episode, and we want to encourage you to add buying question into your process if you don't have one. And if you do have one, or you think you have one, it's a great time to role play it with somebody to make sure that it's actually there. Because sometimes we fool ourselves into thinking that, oh yeah, I'm asking people to buy.
Yes, I love this. Every boot camp I do this. I get up on stage. The next boot camp, by the way, is coming 11/2, 11/3, November 2nd and 3rd, 2025 in Florida. Hit us up at service@wastenoday.net. Email is service@wastenoday.net, or just go to wastenoday.com. Check it out. But I get on the stage, and it's probably not going to work well anymore, but for the first 3 boot camps, I would go, raise your hand if you ask your clients to buy. 100%. Keep your hand up if you ask a specific yes or no question where the clients have to say either yes, I'll take it, or no, I won't. About 60, 70% of the hands go down. If your hand's still up, I'm going to ask you to tell us the question out loud. All hands down. Now, then toward the end of the boot camp, we train on exactly how to get to the question that I just told you guys that I asked. So it's a whole process that leads up to it. You sift through the 3 or however many options you show. I showed 3. You get them to inadvertently select one option, and then you ask them that way. But the biggest repeated thing that I hear after a boot camp is, I would have sworn I asked people to buy. I now know I never asked anyone to buy. But now you're equipped to.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's you, get a question added in some capacity. I'm pretty fond of a yes or no question. I want a very direct, yes, I'll do this. No, I won't do this. And here's why. But either way, you have to end your presentation on that. Remember how much of a leader the role play felt like by asking a person to buy. That's real. That is real. And remember how squirrely you felt the last time you kind of wanted to and didn't pull the trigger. That's visible. Client sees that. That's weakness. We don't buy from weak people, man. We can't trust them. So be authoritative and be assertive and pop that question, baby.
And if you're not sure, if you'd like some feedback on your question, join the Blue Collar Closer group, and you'll get some great feedback in there on people who are asking and refining those types of questions every single day.
Hey, and if you can't afford the group or just not ready to pull the trigger on something like that, no big deal. Jump in the Waste No Day Facebook group, just Waste No Day podcast Facebook group, and frickin' throw your role play video in there. We'll give you feedback. Nobody's going to try to break you in there. It's all positive, but we'll definitely give you feedback and go back and forth with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a great episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Share this one around and let somebody else know that they need to make sure that they're asking a buying question in their process, as well as challenge yourself too. And like Brian mentioned there, we'd love to give you some feedback on that. Or we'd love to hear some feedback from you about this episode or the show in general. We're going to leave you now with our weekly challenge, which continues to be the same each and every week, to choose to wake up each morning and waste no day.